Welcome back to Buddy Buddy. Today, I have a very special guest. I am here today with my wonderful girlfriend, Abby. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. What an honor.
Yeah. This is just the first of your plenty times you're going to be on this show and on this podcast, because eventually, hopefully, you'll be hosting your own episodes here soon.
That's right.
But before we get into all that, tell the people a little about yourself. Tell about your upbringing.
All right. So my name's Abby, obviously. I'm from Gaffney, South Carolina. Don't hold that against me. I have a 16-year-old sister named Reagan. I have a god sister from India. Played volleyball growing up. 2-time national champion.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. I'm a third grade teacher, and I'm the head volleyball coach at Spartan now.
Yeah.
So.
And what about your parents, or you just got a sister?
Oh, no, I don't have parents. No, I'm kidding. My mom's name is Pam. My dad's name's Toby. They're both teachers as well.
Yeah.
So.
I'm hoping they'll listen to this, so you might want to shout them out. So.
Yeah. Shout out Mom and Dad. Y'all are the real ones.
Oh, man. So people are going to want to know, because this is my first public post of you. You've posted a picture of us, but I haven't posted a picture of us.
Yeah.
So tell little people about how we met.
It's more embarrassing for me than him, but so my friend Hannah that I work with, she introduced me to Burn Boot Camp in May. They had like teachers go free for the month of May or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of my routine for the summer, was go to Burn in the morning and then get coffee, shower at the high school, and then get ready for volleyball practice.
Yeah.
And so early into the summer, I go into Bella, straight after the workout. Like, no time for a cool down. My adrenaline's going, everything. I look a hot mess. And
debatable.
Do what?
Debatable.
And so I'm ordering my coffee. I had to catch my breath a little bit. And
sorry, I took your breath away.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that was it. No, Alyssa probably kicked my butt. That's why.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I ordered my coffee, but my adrenaline was pumping so much. I think you talked about this with Jeremiah, but I couldn't get my card in the card reader. Mm-hmm. And so you helped me with that, gave me my coffee, and then that was kind of like how we met. But I don't really remember any of it, I guess, because I was just hustling to get out of there and stuff. And so then you slid in my DMs.
I did.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because you've been following me since 2016 on Instagram.
That was kind of embarrassing when I found that out. But it was, I think, because we had mutual people. And so when I found out that they're mutual friends of my friends, then I like to just look and see their profiles and then follow people. So
I knew you had been following me, so I reached out and slid in the DMs, just saying, like, hope you enjoyed your coffee.
Yeah.
Wasn't trying to be flirtatious off the start.
Yeah.
But you were in a phase where I was surprised you messaged me back.
Yeah.
So why did you even entertain going on a first date with me?
To be honest, I have no idea, because I'd been single for like 3 years. Mm-hmm. And so I had a desire to get married or, to like date and stuff, but just the thought of going on dates was just irritating and annoying to me. And so I'm very shocked that I entertained it at all. Like, when I saw it, I was like, here we go. This isn't going anywhere. I'm not going to entertain this, whether he's meaning like to be flirty or not. That's it. But then you gave me your number.
Yeah.
And we text a little bit. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I just kept texting you back.
Yeah, because you would describe it as your ooh boy face.
Yeah, like
when you first told people from church that you were entertaining a boy, they were in complete shock.
Oh yeah, it's like Jesus is coming back because Abby actually likes a boy. So,
yeah. So people are very invested in us early on.
Yes.
This probably will end up being the most viewed off rip. Like, just because of how people are interested, that people that haven't listened will listen just because you're the most popular girl in Gaffney. About said your nickname for it, but in Gaffney.
I don't know that I'm the most popular, but
well, the Elliott family, how about that?
Yeah, I would definitely say Elliott family's pretty well known, but
yes, everywhere we go. It don't matter if we're in Gaffney or not. You either know somebody from Gaffney or they know you from volleyball. or
Yeah.
We went tubing yesterday, and a girl that you coach right now at Spartan High, one of her teammates from the summer was the girl that's like waited on us or like sold us our tickets to go tubing.
Yeah, that's correct.
The connections are everywhere with you.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, I can't go somewhere with you without being introduced to somebody.
I know. That's so fair. That's so fair. No, it happens all the time. But I think it's just playing volleyball for so long that you just kind of grow up with the same girls.
Mm-hmm.
And then other teams kind of watch you as well and recognize you. Like, I'll go to the beach. Like, one time I think I was in Charleston and we went in this surf shop, and this girl working was like, "Didn't you play with Thayer Hall?" And I'm like, yes, I did. Happens all the time. But
and it'll probably go on for a really long time.
Probably. Now that I'm coaching too.
Yep.
So probably will.
It's okay. I'm used to it at this point. I just know whenever we go out on a date or we go somewhere in public, I'm going to get introduced to somebody. Whether we're at QT and your co-worker's son's working or serving.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. No matter where we go, we know somebody, or you know somebody.
Yeah.
No, I'm not very popular, so that's why I'm using this podcast. I'm trying to boost my fame. Just kidding.
He's using me.
Yeah, using the clout. Using Abby for the clout.
Whatever.
But so since we've joked a little bit about some of the dates we've been on so far, what's been your favorite memory so far that we've had together?
I think I have two.
Okay.
So I think this was really early on, maybe even like the first week or two. I think it was after work. We went to eat, and then I went to your Frisbee game, and then we drove to Lexington.
Yeah.
And that was just fun because it was just chill, and all we did was ride in the car for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just jam out, just have quality time. But then recently, I would definitely say tubing. Yeah. That was so fun.
I was glad that you enjoyed that. When I thought about doing that, I said, Abby loves being out in the sun. She's not a fair-skinned redhead, so she loves being out in the sun. And I was like, so being on the water for a couple hours on a beautiful Saturday sounds like a good day to me.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping you would, like I mentioned a couple of times while we were out there, I was like, I was just hoping you weren't like scared of everything. So like when we get close to the wall or we get near a tree, I was like, it's like, as long as you're not like freaking out being a little dramatic, I was like, we're gonna have a good time as long as you're not dramatic.
Just crossing your fingers.
I was like, the only time you got kind of freaked out was when you saw a spider, but that's like your biggest fear.
No, that's like
spiders like your biggest fear.
I'm like deathly afraid. And
but
so
we chilled right by a snake. We went right by a snake, and you were just cruising like, oh hey Andrew, look, there's a snake.
It was just perched up on a little rock. It was kind of cute, but no, it was fine. Like being outside and stuff felt really good. The weather was perfect. There were a lot of times where we were kind of secluded. We weren't really around people, so we got to just chill and hang out.
Yeah. And just talk life.
Yeah. It was really fun.
Yeah. Dream about futures and whatever else.
Yeah. But no, the only time I freaked out, that spider was really big.
I never saw it though, because we were tied together and you got thrown towards that side. And so you had to push us off the wall. And
well, that's why I saw it, because I was trying to look for a place that looked solid to like push off.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness. It was huge. But no, it was really fun. That was a good time.
Yeah. For me, my favorite memory so far, I would say the drive to Lexington was fun because that's when you first got to see the alter ego jamming in the car.
Oh yeah.
I'm normally a pretty calm, reserved person, but I'll let it loose a little bit when I'm riding in the car.
No, yeah, you did.
So that was fun for me because I just got to be myself and
I got to watch it.
Yeah, you got the full show, but it's okay. You'll get plenty of that, which that's okay. But I really enjoyed the day where you met my family.
Oh yeah,
that full day was fun, and just us going to dinner, you meeting my family, and then me whooping you and putt. But it's okay.
Whatever.
You beat me in Nintendo Sports.
Yeah,
and I gave you the credit already on the podcast.
I did appreciate that.
Yes, we're very competitive. Yeah, we're very competitive, and so I definitely take my chances to win when I can. But you win your fair share. Yeah.
I'm up to what, 2 wins? And sorry,
to my
6.
But it's okay. But I enjoyed the season where we were meeting each other's families.
Yeah.
Like, I was nervous for it for sure because your dad's can be very intimidating.
Yeah, he's Mr. Tough Guy, so
Yes.
he's definitely intimidating.
But now seeing how he treats the cat, I know there's a soft side to him. Seeing how he loves on Sassy, it's good to see that Toby has a soft side.
Yeah, that he bought her a water fountain.
He bought her a water fountain for her drinking water.
Like, that's like nicer than anything he's got me. I'm kidding, but
I mean, joke that he bought it for you. So if you ever need water,
that's true. He did say that. Whatever.
So we went on our first date to the restaurant Prime. Is where the peddler used to be in Spartanburg, which is where your parents had. Not, I don't know if it was the first date, but it's where they got engaged.
Yes.
Was in the restaurant we had our first date. Was in the same space, which is kind of crazy to think about.
That is crazy.
That they got engaged in the same space that we had our first date, even though it was not the same restaurant, but still. But so yeah, so looking into our relationship, obviously we've only been together a little over 2 months. It feels like it's been longer because we may or may not be on a streak of seeing each other for the past like 36 days or something. 37 days. 37 days.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Something like that. Even if it's just for a little bit, we've seen each other to some extent for the past over a month. So it feels like we've been together longer than we have.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What are some of the things you think we do well in our relationship early on?
I think that, like you said, we've seen each other every day for that long, but it hasn't been like we've wanted to. It hasn't been like we felt guilty or obligated. It's just we try to squeeze in time when we can, even if it's like you come into my work in the morning, or I come to Bella like in between school and volleyball. So I think we do a good job of pursuing time to see each other. But I think that even though we've only been together for 2 months, I think that we've kind of broken down some walls of like really hard conversations, which is good because, you know, as believers, we kind of date to marry.
Yeah. And
we try to find those solid qualities early on. And so having those hard conversations has brought us closer together, whereas it could have driven us apart, but at least we would have known early on. You know what I'm saying? So I think that we communicate really well and pursue each other really well.
Yeah. I think communication has been huge for us.
Yeah.
We don't let things go unsaid.
Yeah.
And which I think is huge for us, especially early on, because like you said, we're trying to figure each other out. We're still new in this relationship. It feels like we've been dating longer than we have, but they're still new. So I'm still trying to figure out all your habits, your quirks, your things that your natural tendencies of how you react to things. And so whenever I have something that comes into my mind, I'm like, I wonder why she does that, or like, what's her thoughts on this?
Yeah.
I would rather just go ahead and throw it out there because for the same reasons you say, it's like, I'd rather nip it in the bud now. Like, let's bring this to light and figure out where we're at, where if we align, if we don't, and then, like I said, I can feel out because we're trying in the whole goal of dating from a Christian is to date to marry. So you can either say like, all right, we're going to get through this and it's going to bring us closer together, or we're going to know early on that we're not supposed to be together.
Right.
Which is the latter. So which I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
But, so I think, is there anything right now in our relationship you feel like we need to work on?
I don't know about work on, but I guess there are things that I'm excited like to happen that just haven't happened yet, or we haven't had a chance to because it is so early on. But I'm excited for our parents to meet and hang out. But I think that it's going to be cool to have, because we have our own communities and we're still learning each other's friends and stuff. Like you've come and met my friends. I've met a few of yours. But I think it'll be cool to figure out like what couples we want in our community. Yeah. And so I guess maybe not really something we need to work on, but something I'm excited to see come about is like, who are we going to cling to as far as double dates, or like coming over here and making time for those people, whether it's couples that we know because of you or because of me. I guess that would be something, even though it's nothing we need to work on, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if it's necessarily like a big thing that we have to work on currently, because it's still new, it's fresh, we're still getting to know each other. Yeah. So it's not like we're married and like have these issues that we got to hash out. Like, I think we could do a little bit of a job of like talking about our individual walks with Christ.
Yeah.
Like, and what we're learning, what Christ is teaching us like day by day.
Yeah.
Like we pray together, we talk about our faith, we talk about what the big things that God's doing, but the day-to-day life, I feel like we could probably do a little better on.
That's true. Like, hey, what are you reading?
Yeah. Stuff along those
Stuff
lines.
like that. Yeah.
That's nothing big. That's like a big problem. We don't have any big problems we need to work on, but
not yet. I'm kidding.
Whoa.
No, I think it's cool. I did want to mention this, that we already pray together, because I feel like that's really awkward. That can be really awkward for some people, like for couples. But my pastor's wife, she's such a queen. She, because whenever you're in a small group and people are like, all right, who wants to pray? It's like crickets. And she made a comment one time like, okay, well, when I'm thinking about praying in front of people, it's just me talking to my maker and I'm letting people in on it. And so, like in on the conversation. And so I think it's cool that as a couple that we can kind of do that and pray for each other, because that's just a solid like thing to do with each other. So
I agree. So, I did this podcast to build my community, and obviously you're a huge part of my community and a growing part of my community as we're dating and trying to pursue each other. Do you think guys or girls have more trouble finding community, and why?
I guess I lean towards girls because that's the only perspective that I have. I feel like for guys, it's just, now, you can speak more on that, but it can maybe be harder to be vulnerable because guys tend to be like strong and sometimes prideful and don't want to like break down those walls. But I feel like for girls, we do it too easily. And we click with somebody, and to us, that's just an open door to just let it all flow out and just tell our new bestie that we've known for an hour our deepest, darkest secrets. And then they leave, or they use it against us or spread it. And we wonder why we don't have loyal friends when we kind of maybe made the judgment too soon on if they should be in our community or not. And so I think vulnerability for girls is easier, and so it backfires. And then we feel like we don't have strong girlfriends in our life. And it's hard because, gossip, I feel like, is something girls struggle with the most. Yeah. And so sometimes it's hard to say like, okay, should I share this? Should I not? And then you do, and you feel like they're just going to gossip about it to somebody else later. And so I feel like that's why girls have it worse.
Yeah, I would agree. I think you're on the right side of this. I think girls do have it hard because that was the first thing when I read that question was the gossip side of things. Girls get really comfortable really fast with each other. And guys are prideful. Guys do struggle with, I don't want people to know my problems. I don't want, even my closest guy friends that I have now, like, I'm not going to them regularly with sins that I'm struggling with. I know that if I go to them, they'll talk to me and they'll give me advice. They'll encourage me. But I'm not like, as soon as I feel comfortable saying, all right, dude, I'm going through this, what should I do? And so, I think girls probably have it harder when they find true community. I think it's easier for girls to find friends. Because they can become friends over the littlest things. You got one thing in common, y'all besties. Right. Versus guys, like, all my friends came through Frisbee, but just because we played Frisbee together doesn't mean that we were best friends. Yeah. Like, me and Austin talked about it, like, our beginning of our friendship, I didn't like him. Like, and it was a lot of things that God was working on in his life, and he would attest to all these things, and he knew that I wasn't like, but I made an intentional effort to pursue him and pursue a friendship with him, and now I'm abundantly grateful for him. Right. But it took me being consistent to say, like, all right, we got more than just a thing in common. We're believers. We're pursuing Jesus. You have your struggles that come off and rub off on me that I see, and then I have things I'm going through with, and then now we're at the point where we can talk about whatever. But it takes me more time, at least speaking from my experience, to be comfortable talking. Yeah. And be comfortable talking to people on deeper levels than just surface level. But girls, like you said, they will just jump right in. Yeah. Once they feel a tad comfortable, like, well, here's this.
Yeah.
And then oh, frick, I wasn't expecting that.
I know. Well, then it makes it harder as maybe you get older or when you go through circles of friends over and over because you've let your guard down so many times and then you kind of get smacked a little bit and it backfires and you kind of can't trust anyone.
Yeah.
And then when you do find somebody who's like, okay, no, I'm serious, I'm here for you, then it's harder to let the walls down again.
Yeah.
And so I would say girls are just hard. They're emotional, they go off feelings, and like you said, you have an instant connection and then you're besties and you feel like you can just spill everything. And then the friendship doesn't really last long, which is fine. But then it's like, man, if I would have known that, then I probably wouldn't have shared all of these things and stuff. And so, yeah. But once you do find it, like if you do it the right way and kind of try to open up to people, then they might not really care to be at a deeper level in relationship with you. And then at least like this is more of an acquaintance, not someone to kind of get in the trenches with me. But once you kind of navigate and figure out those people, it's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
and leaning into that, the people that will get in the trenches with you and people that you can do life with, you're eventually going to do these episodes by yourself.
Yeah.
We're going to let you host episodes where you're doing this with your community and the women in your life. So who is the first person that Abby Elliott is going to interview on Buddy Buddy?
This makes me very excited. So I've already been thinking about like a list. I've got a solid 4 already ready to go.
Yeah.
And I actually talked to my first guest today about it. Would definitely be my pastor's wife, Christy. Just because we are very similar in a lot of ways. We're both really outgoing. We both really like to serve and kind of have our hands in a lot of things. And like to be cheerleaders for other people. And so I think she would be good because, she's like, we call her first lady because being a pastor's wife, but that's got to be a hard role, like people come to you about all kinds of things and you're expected to carry burdens for like a lot of people. And then in return, it's like, okay, who can I trust here? Like, do they really want to help, carry my burdens, or do they just want to kind of know what's going on with the pastor and his wife, you know? And so she's talked about that a little bit in our small group on Wednesday nights. Just, she doesn't mean to come off as reserved or give vague prayer requests, but she kind of has to hold things in the vault a lot. And so I'd be interested to know how she balances all of that, kind of having to, not really just the ladies, but I mean, her husband's having to carry all that too. And so I think it would be a really good episode.
For sure.
So
Christy,
you're such a queen. We love you.
Can't wait to have you on.
Yes, cannot wait.
Yes.
It'll be good.
And looking forward into that, we talked about a minute ago, leaning into the couples that we feel like we want to invest in more or do life with more regularly. And we're going to eventually do this with couples.
Yeah.
And just talk about what community looks like from a dating / or if they're married side of what community looks like when you're in those seasons of life.
Yeah.
And so which couple do you want to have hop on to be our first guest?
So we've kind of already talked about this.
Yeah.
As far as a married, well, I guess both the couples would be married, but newlywed, we would want Jeremiah and Mia.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jeremiah was my first guest, so him and his wife.
And we love Mia.
Yeah.
So I think, because that's kind of would that be the first couple we kind of even hung out with? I mean, even though we didn't really, just the 4 of us hang out,
Is it? I think so.
It was before you and Jeremiah played cornhole, and then me and Mia got to hang out because of that. So I would say them. I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
We're around the same age, so we can kind of relate to them. But then I guess older couple, been married for a long time. This is a lady that I also want to interview, just me and her. Her name's Johnny, and her husband's name is David.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of ministry stuff, or they have in the past. And so I think they would be a really good guest, especially since they're really big believers, and just seeing the fruit of their marriage. I think it would be cool for us to sit with them, learn a little bit.
Yeah, learn a bit about what we could do to use us as a relationship to glorify Christ.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I have not met either one of these people, so I don't think I have, at least.
No, you haven't met Johnny. She's very eager to meet you, though. Yeah. She's awesome.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we have a lot of people invested in us.
She's crazy.
So, but that'd be good to know, hear from their married side of like how they do ministry. And so, what are you doing currently to impact the next generation to love Jesus?
So for a while I kind of struggled with this because I used to help out with the youth group, but then I kind of backed off because teaching got crazy, and then I started coaching. And so the fall is like go, 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 hustle, hustle for me. And so for a while I battled, do I even want to coach? Because I feel like it's pulling me away from church people. And I can't really hang out with people in the youth that I would want to invest in, like girls, like high school girls and stuff. And so I battled with that for a while, not really knowing which way to go. But then whenever I started volleyball again and seeing the girls and stuff, it was just like an aha moment, like, duh, this is your ministry. This is where you're supposed to pour into the next generation. Like, you know that the families of the girls at your church are solid, but you might not know that really about the girls you're coaching.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I know their families, but not at a spiritual level or anything like that. And so I would say that's kind of my outlet of how to pour into them, whether it's just texting them, hey, how's y'all's day going? Or praying for you guys, or having people from FCA come speak. Just kind of being their number one fan and cheerleader, and just kind of trying to model and reflect Christ as much as possible. And I think I would hope that they would pick up on that.
I think they have.
Yeah. I mean, I've built pretty good relationships with them, and they definitely, I think, trust me and know that I'm here to invest not just in their volleyball skill, but them as actual people. And so I guess I would say that's how. But even girls at church, I try to, like me and Nicole, she's a girl in our youth group that I think I have a really good relationship with. And so I'll take her home like from church, or I'll go pick her up if we're playing volleyball, or, hey, we're going to eat lunch, I'm coming to get you. And so I would say those two ways. And then, I mean, teaching third grade, I can only do so much, but I'll try to, play instrumental worship music, or just kind of be mama for them and stuff. And so it's not as easy as high school girls where they kind of understand, but I would say those are ways.
Yeah, I think you do a really good job. I've been to a fair amount of volleyball already, and I plan on coming to more. But I think you do a really good job of loving on those, on your players, on your students, because yes, you coach them, and you are a coach. You don't just stand there and let them play, and they fail. Like, no, you'll get on them if they're struggling, which is what a good coach. What a good coach is. But they don't take it like hard, where they're like reserved and saying, well, Coach Elliott hates me. She's always just pointing out my faults. You do a really good job of like, hey, we got to work on this, but you're doing great at this. And so you'll encourage them. And so that's why they feel so comfortable around you, and you're a positive light in their life. And you've seen fruit of that too, from notes that kids have written or whatever, that you are making an impact. So don't ever think that you're not, because you obviously are. And it's evident to see how they interact with you, that they love you.
Yeah.
And you're not just a coach to them. But for me, I'm currently leading the 11th grade boys small group at my church. Shout out to my boys. I saw them this morning. And a couple of them are going to be on the podcast soon.
Oh, I cannot wait for that. It's going to be so funny.
I'm looking forward to that. I mean, all of them might be at some point, but two of them are going to hop on soon. CJ and Hunter are going to hop on here fairly soon. They are. CJ is a goon.
Yeah, he's a goon.
One of the most energetic, outgoing people I've ever met.
I've only met him one time, but his TikToks are hilarious.
Yes, CJ is a clown, but he loves it. That's his personality, and so he's gonna be fun to have on guest. But I've been investing in their lives for over a year now. I taught them last year in small group, and they wanted me back. They're like, we want Andrew as our small group leader again.
Of course.
And so we're going through a book called Do Hard Things this year, just to challenge them that even as high schoolers that they can do big things for the Lord. They don't have to wait until they're an adult and have the worldly responsibilities that they can make a change where they're at right now. They don't have to, because I feel like the worldly culture is just, they teach you in school to say like, you're trying to figure out who you are. And so whenever you're done with school, whether you're out of high school or out of college, then you can do something good. You can get a good job. You can go do all the big things for the world, but you got to wait. And so, but when you're looking at it from a faith perspective, you can do big things where you're at right now.
That's right.
And a lot of my students I think all of them play on a sports team. They're all athletes. And so I've already encouraged them in that. Some of them are playing football right now, and I'm like, y'all's examples are shown already. And I feel like they do a really good job of it. Like, we have a solid group of students there where I think for the most part they take their faith serious. And so we're trying to impact in their life right now that they're not the seniors, but they're the upperclassmen, like setting the standard for what youth ministry should look like.
That's right.
And so we're just been pounding that into them. Like, your example will ripple to the 9th and 10th graders, to the middle schoolers, and it'll truly transform what God's doing at Woodruff, because all of them look up. At least the younger guys all look up to them. They think they're the coolest kids because they play sports. They're popular at school. And if you're already that and you love Jesus, like, you can truly make it. I told them that this morning. I said, when I was in school, the popular kids that had everybody's eyes on them, they more than likely didn't love Jesus.
That's right.
And so people were falling in the wrong direction. They wanted to be like these popular people, but by doing so, it led them into a lifestyle that's away from Jesus.
Yeah.
And I said, the fact that y'all are solid in your faith and you have everybody's eyes on you, you have a huge platform to set an example. And that's just what we're trying to like pound into their heads right now. Like, don't take this for granted, because there's so many eyes on you. Not that you need to feel the pressure that people are watching your every move, but everything you do is noticed, like, and all these kids want to be you. And so if you take your faith serious, they'll more than likely take their own individual walk with Jesus seriously. Yeah. So I guess the question in the same regard that you wrote down was, what would you say to people that are struggling to find their purpose in life, whether that's a believer or a non-believer?
For a believer, it's a lot easier because our sole purpose, like general, is to love God and make disciples. Yeah. And sometimes people, they struggle to find a career or a way to do that, or they think that, oh, that's ministry or that's mission work. But no, that's like, I felt called very early on to be a teacher. Yeah. I mean, very early on, like 10, to be a teacher. I just knew it. And so I think that if we channel our general purpose as believers to love God, love people, make disciples, that we can channel that into whatever job we have. Yeah. And if we're doing those things already, then God is going to reveal the next step of our life. Yeah. He's not the author of confusion, and he's not going to do anything to confuse us or make us feel like we don't know where to go. And if we do feel confused, then we should lean into him more to find out which direction we should go. And so once you have that, then it's like, okay, I'm a teacher, but it's bigger than that. Or I'm a nurse, but it's bigger than that. Like, I need to find opportunities to lean into my calling as a believer and use that wherever I am. Yeah. And for non-believers, it's kind of hard because there's really no hope, and there's not like a bigger purpose here. I'm not working for something bigger than myself. Yeah. And I kind of am just working for the works of it instead of like out of faith or out of the grace I've been given, you know? And so it's hard for non-believers, I think, because they don't have the Holy Spirit to kind of guide them. They just have a bunch of noise of the world just in their head, you know? And so sometimes I think that can be frustrating. But then sometimes non-believers, they know very early on what they want to do, and they're happy and content making money and worldly things and storing up worldly treasures. But for what, you know? Because it's going to all go away. Exactly. Passing pleasure. And so I think find a bigger purpose, because it's not just about you. It's about God. It's about other people. Then it's about you.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I think for non-believers, if they can realize, not in the fact because a lot of non-believers aren't open to hearing the gospel, but even if they're struggling, if anybody's listening to this that is not a believer, like, understand that there's more to life than you.
Yeah.
Like, even if you don't want to believe in God, like, if you view the world in the sense of giving and a sense of loving others and be like the opportunities that you've been blessed with to bless other people in return, it'll give life more meaning than just, I'm just working to pay a paycheck to live life so I can go out on Friday nights so that I can see my friends. But if you view work and life and say, like, I can use these things that have been given to me, or the gifts that I've used to get this job, that I can make a good amount of money that I can bless other people with, it'll definitely give them a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
But it's not the same sense of purpose as a believer,
right?
Where it doesn't matter what we do. We know that our main influence comes from Christ and comes from being disciple makers. And I think that might be one of the steps that when I think about discipleship and disciple makers, I think that's one thing that a lot of Christians struggle with. And they will have their call to salvation, they'll get saved, but then they're not pursuing, they don't know how to make disciples because they're not truly becoming a disciple.
Yeah.
Like, they were saved and they're going to heaven, but they're not actively in discipleship. They're not meeting with people wiser than them to understand what walking with Christ really looks like.
Yeah.
And so when people tell them at church that, hey, you're going to be a disciple maker, they don't know how to do that. And it's because they're not in those discipleship relationships in their own life. And so that's one thing I think the church has to do a better job of. And that's why, like, you're doing it with your volleyball team. I'm doing it with these 11th grade boys. Like, we're teaching them that, yes, you're saved. Yes, you're going to heaven. But now you're a part of this mission. Like, it's not, accepting Christ in your heart is not just a get out of hell free card. It's,
that's right.
Like, it's you have an even bigger call now that you're saved. Like, if it really means that much to you, what Jesus did in your life to transform you as a sinner to now you're saved because you're overwhelmed with the grace of God, you should want to let other people experience that. Yeah. And so we have to learn how to be disciple makers. And so if anybody's listening, my boys watch this, 'cause I know they probably will, because CJ, my biggest hype man, especially in our relationship, he's a hype man. And so, CJ, just know that you can be used for God's kingdom too, on the baseball field. And so, we, as believers, you got to be willing to make disciples, and that's not easy. And it takes conversations like this. It takes being vulnerable with people once you feel comfortable enough that they're not going to backstab you and just throw all your beef out to the world. Yeah. But no,
I think for us, at least, because we grew up in very similar, like, upbringings and households. Like, your dad works in ministry. My dad did for a while, but even stepping out of that, we grew up with two parents who loved Jesus a lot and who took us to church. And I know you mentioned this on another episode, where sometimes that's really good and you lean into that, and then sometimes kids who grow up in Christian households can kind of fall away from it because they were forced to do it for so long. So I think it's easier for us to kind of see that versus somebody who didn't grow up in a Christian home. And they're kind of like, we understand, okay, we need to be discipled. That just makes sense to us. But for someone who is new to all of it, like, okay, I'm going to trust in this Jesus guy. He seems like the real deal. What's next? Like you said, the church has to grab onto those people and say, come on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Who in your life has permission to call you out?
Who in my life has permission to call me out? Because I'm a person that I don't like things going unsaid. And so, in my eyes, I feel like I'm at a season in my life now where I'm comfortable with whoever. If anybody sees anything in my life, they're like, red flag, hold up, like, that's wrong, that's sin. I would hope anybody felt comfortable doing that, but I guess, like, close enough people that I would expect them to would be like Jeremiah. I spend too much time with him for him to not be able to call me out. Like Hampton. Austin, Caleb. Anytime I'm around them, if they see stuff, I would hope that they would call me out and say, hey, that's wrong.
Yeah.
But I would hope this is I'm opening the invitation up to anybody. If you ever see me in public and I'm acting a fool, call me out. I'll happily take it with grace. So, what about for you?
I would say my roommates from college, but we don't really interact we text, but we don't see each other as much. But I would say Courtney and Lexi, for sure. They go to my church and we're kind of childhood friends. And then I would say Anna Ellis from church.
Yeah.
I've gone to her about things like, hey, am I wrong in this? And she'll tell me straight up, which I love. We send voice memos all the time for each other. And I don't call her out on things, but she'll tell me things, hey, can you pray about this? And things like that. Or there was one time I was like, hey, I need to confess this sin to somebody. Can you meet me at the church office? And she did. And so we talked for like an hour about it, and it was awesome. So she definitely knows me really well. So I would say she would be top for sure for me. So yeah.
But yeah. Yep. I hope, and for all Christians, that they'll have people in their life that they can just have that true accountability and not let things go unsaid, because that's the only way we're truly going to grow. We can't sugarcoat things, and just because we're going to Bible studies together and we're doing life together, hanging out regularly, that we're all perfect Christians and that we're all walking Jesus as pure as we can. And so I think the only way to truly grow and be disciple makers and to push that message of the gospel forward is to be willing to call sin. And just because you quote unquote love Jesus doesn't mean we can't call you out on your sin. Yeah. And so I think that's huge for all believers.
I agree.
But Abby, thank you for being my girlfriend. Thank you for taking a chance on me, but also for coming on this podcast and being a part of it, where we're going to let you take the reins and do your own episodes and do episodes together. Yeah. But thank you for coming on my podcast. I know this has been a long time coming. We've been talking about it for a while. Yeah. But thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime.